Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about 7 sci-fi books that you can read in one sitting. 5 of these I have actually read and 2 of them I have not yet read, but I'm including them on this list because they are very short reads and I'm certain that they can be read in one sitting. The first book probably comes as no surprise, but that is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This is a post-apocalyptic story and it is the inspiration for the Blade Runner movies, although the book is much different than the movies in my opinion. But if you're not familiar with this story, it follows an Earth that has been decimated by nuclear war and most of humanity has fled to Mars where a new colony has been established, but people still do remain on Earth. And there has been this corporation that has created androids, and it's almost impossible to tell the difference between a human and an android. They are so lifelike, and some of these androids have gone rogue. And we follow our main character who is a bounty hunter and tries to catch and retire or kill these androids. And this book, I really want to reread it because I feel like it's got so many different levels that I just missed my first time around. And I really do love the Blade Runner movies. I actually read the book after I watched the Blade Runner movies. And what I really like about this story, from what I remember, is just the theme of what it means to be human and when do we exactly lose our humanity and what leads up to that and causes that. And there's a bunch of other things that go into this book, but it's definitely one that you can read in one sitting. It's fairly short, as all of Philip K. Dick's stories tend to be, so I highly recommend if you haven't already read it. The next book we have is Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This is book 1 of his Themis Files, and while it looks like a thicker book, the reason that it can be read in one sitting is that this is written in interview format, so it is almost entirely dialogue. There are some letters and things thrown in here, but I would say 90% of this book is written in interview format in dialogue, so there's no filler. If you open up the book, you will see that it's literally like question and answer format, so it lends itself to being a very quick read. And I think the audiobook for this is only 6, maybe 7 hours, which shows you how quickly it can be read if you're a faster reader or listen to the audiobook on a higher speed. But if you're not familiar with this story, this follows a whole bunch of different characters, but it follows this main character named Rose, and she is a scientist, and when she's a little girl, she falls into this hole in the earth and she lands in this giant metal robot hand, and she dedicates her whole life to determining where this robot came from, how did it get to Earth, what does it mean for the possibility of life on other planets. And it's a really interesting story. I enjoyed it. It's got good character relationships. It's got some geopolitical conflict in here as well as the sci-fi elements. Next we have H.G. Wells' The Time Machine and The Invisible Man. My copy has 2 and 1, which shows you how short they are. I know for a fact I read The Time Machine in one sitting. I did not read The Invisible Man in one sitting, but it's still a fairly short book. And I do have a full spoiler-free review for The Invisible Man, which I'll leave up in the cards if you're interested in checking it out. But H.G. Wells, I think he's probably one of my favorite classic sci-fi authors. War of the Worlds is definitely one of my favorites. But The Invisible Man essentially follows a scientist as we are following his descent into madness as he has created a way for him to be invisible. And then we have The Time Machine, which essentially is exactly what it sounds like. It follows a character that goes into the future and sees what civilization has become. So H.G. Wells just packs a lot of punch into his shorter books and stories, and I highly recommend checking any of his work out. Next we have Mem by Bethany C Maro. This is a sci-fi book that I will say is way more character-driven than sci-fi driven, and it is a historical reimagining. So this setting takes place in Canada in the 1930s, I believe, and there's a scientist who has figured out a way to take memories out of people and insert them into these clones almost, but human bodies. And these humans, these clones, they relive the same memory over and over and over, and they do that as a means for the host of the memory to not have that memory anymore. So if you had a bad memory, you could literally get rid of it by storing it in this human type thing. And we follow a character named Dolores who is able to create memories of her own. She was created by the scientist, but she functions basically like a human. And we just follow her journey once again as she is trying to figure out what it means to be human. And she wants to figure out why the person whose memory she has got rid of those memories, and kind of wants to reconnect with that person. And this book, the science isn't explained in a way that is believable. It's more like speculative, but the relationships in this book and the journey of the main character is excellently done. Next, we have Solaris by Stanislaw Lem, and this is a book that I have wanted to read for the longest time, and there's really no excuse why I haven't read it because it is so darn short. But in this book, we are following a main character who is a psychologist, I believe, and he has gone to this planet called Solaris, and he has been sent to study like the oceans there. And the reason why is that a lot of people, a lot of the crew that has been sent to like colonize and live on Solaris has reported the oceans being able to embody memories of theirs. And our main character is basically trying to figure out if this is real or it's something that they are all imagining, or how this planet, how this ocean is actually doing this. And I've heard that this book is extremely emotional, which I wouldn't think, you know, going into a sci-fi novel about like a creepy ocean that reads your mind, that it would be an emotional journey. But I have heard people say that this book made them cry. So that's piqued my interest even more because, I mean, a mind-reading ocean, a strange planet that can affect a bunch of people, kind of like maybe a hive mind type thing, plus repressed memories, plus emotions, like I'm here for it. So this is another one that's super short, can be read in one sitting, and one I really need to get to. And the last book is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This is another book that I've wanted to read for a really long time. I saw the movie, I really like the movie, but I've heard that the movie and the book are vastly different. But in this book, we're following Earth, and there has been a part of Earth that has been infested by some sort of being, and it's known as Area X, and it's been kind of shut off from the rest of the world. And scientists have been sent in to try and figure out what's going on, but all of these scientists, every time they go in, something bad happens to them. For example, a whole group committed suicide, another group, you know, turned on one another and killed one another. Another group came back and they all developed cancer and died. So we're following essentially the last group that's going into Area X to figure out what the heck is transforming Earth. Is it an alien infestation? Is it something that lives on Earth? Is it a mutation? And like I said, the whole reason I picked this up is because I enjoyed the movie. I've heard that the ending was changed from the book, and the ending of the movie was really, really good. So that's kind of like what I'm most interested to see. And I think this is also the first book in a series, or at least companion novels. So if I like this one, then I have other ones I can dig into. But Annihilation is another super short read that you can get done in one sitting. Okay, you guys, that is it for sci-fi books that you can read in one sitting. Let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you have any other suggestions for sci-fi books that can be read in one sitting, and I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye!